You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look at
they would have Michael Jackson
or worse, yeah.
Let me say this, y'all. This judgment that is happening to Hollywood, it is getting ready to take down every superstar that ever was, from past to now.
What if everything you thought you knew about Kim Kardashian was a carefully staged illusion? Behind the filtered selfies, luxury endorsements, and designer gowns lies a world darker than anyone imagined. And it wasn't a journalist or a whistleblower who cracked it open. It was Kanye West. His explosive claims shook Hollywood, and at first they seemed like the bitter rants of a man unraveling. But as more details surfaced, the dots began to connect, painting a terrifying picture of fame, power, and exploitation. From secret churches funneling hush money to disturbing industry parties where the rich played without consequences, this isn't just tabloid drama. It's the dark underbelly of an empire built on lies. And Kanye's warnings? They might be the only truth Hollywood doesn't want you to hear. Kanye West's allegations against Kim Kardashian weren't just personal. They were systemic. According to him, Kim wasn't simply a pawn. She was actively working with some of the most powerful figures in the industry, including Diddy, to maintain their control and influence. Kanye accused Kim of planning to exploit their children, especially North, to continue the Kardashian legacy of manipulation masked as empowerment. At the time, the world rolled its eyes. Kanye's public meltdowns, his controversial statements, and his social media tirades made him an easy target for ridicule. Late-night comedians joked about his spiral. News outlets painted him as unhinged. But behind the chaos, there was a steady drumbeat of warnings. And once people looked beyond the spectacle, Kanye's accusations began to feel less like madness and more like a desperate attempt to pull back the curtain on a machine built to destroy. Even his rants about not wanting North to be exploited by Hollywood weren't isolated. They fit into a larger pattern. A father desperately fighting a battle most people didn't even realize was happening. But Kanye's claims weren't just rooted in paranoia. They found chilling echoes in one of the biggest scandals to hit the fashion world. A scandal Kim couldn't run from. When Balenciaga launched a shocking campaign featuring children holding bondage-themed teddy bears, the backlash was swift and brutal. Social media erupted. Parents, celebrities, and activists demanded accountability. Yet Kim Kardashian, one of the brand's biggest ambassadors, stayed silent. For days, the woman who built a billion-dollar brand on connecting with her fans had nothing to say. And when she finally did issue a statement, it was cold, clinical, and calculated. She condemned the images but refused to cut ties with Balenciaga, claiming she would reassess her relationship with the brand based on how they handled the situation. Behind the scenes, sources claimed Kim had no real intention of severing the relationship. Balenciaga was too profitable, too high profile, and for Kim, maintaining her elite status among fashion's inner circle mattered more than any public outrage. Worse still, the nature of the Balenciaga shoot mirrored Kanye's warnings that innocence was being commodified, distorted, and sacrificed at the altar of fame and money. And once you noticed that parallel, it was impossible to unsee. But the Balenciaga scandal was just the surface, because deep inside the Kardashian empire, something even more corrupt had been built, and it wore the mask of religion. In 2012, Kris Jenner founded California Community Church, an exclusive place of worship that charged its members a monthly fee and demanded heavy tithes. To the public, it looked like another Kardashian stunt, another brand extension wrapped in spirituality. But to those paying attention, it was something far more calculated. Allegations emerged that the church served as a financial laundromat, a place where powerful Hollywood figures could move money under the guise of charity. And at the center of it all, Lou Taylor, the same woman who allegedly orchestrated the financial and personal imprisonment of Britney Spears. According to insiders, Diddy used California Community Church as a conduit to funnel money labeled as donations to victims he needed to silence. Kim and Kris weren't just innocent bystanders. They allegedly facilitated the transactions, providing cover under the banner of philanthropy. This wasn't about faith. It was about power, control, and bearing the truth under a pile of tax-free blessings. And Lou Taylor's reach didn't stop there, because once she had a taste for control, she set her sights on the next prize, Kanye West. If Britney Spears' heartbreaking testimony taught the world anything, it's that not all prisons have bars. Some are made of paperwork, medication, and fear. And the architect of many of these invisible cages, allegedly, Lou Taylor. Taylor's business model was chillingly effective. Find vulnerable celebrities, push them into legal conservatorships, strip them of their autonomy, and control their money indefinitely. Britney Spears was her crown jewel, but Kanye West was supposed to be next. According to Kanye, after he began questioning the system, from exposing Hollywood's dark secrets to calling out media manipulation, the same forces tried to silence him. Doctors pushed lithium on him, diagnosing him without proper evaluation.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me. And they when I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount.
Handlers tried to isolate him, and plans were allegedly made to declare him legally incompetent, the same way Britney had been silenced for years. Kanye's public breakdowns, the tears, the outbursts, the bizarre Twitter rants, suddenly made more sense. They weren't just a celebrity losing his mind. They were the screams of a man trapped in a system designed to make him disappear. But while Kanye fought for his voice, the Hollywood elite partied like there was no tomorrow. And the things happening behind closed doors were even darker than anyone imagined. It wasn't just whispers, there was video evidence, and Khloe Kardashian herself unknowingly spilled some of the tea. In an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, she casually described attending one of Diddy's infamous parties with Quincy and Justin Bieber, laughing about how half the people there were naked. At the time, viewers brushed it off as harmless, wild behavior. After all, celebrities partying in excess was nothing new. But as more details about Diddy's private gatherings emerged, the casual comments turned chilling. Leaked photos from Diddy's legendary white parties showed scenes of open debauchery, champagne being poured over semi-naked bodies, stars lounging on beds with suggestive props, and explicit acts happening in plain sight. And there, front and center in several leaked images, was Kim Kardashian, posing on a massive bed with Diddy and Paris Hilton, smiling like it was just another night out. But it wasn't. Insiders alleged these parties weren't just for fun. They were places where new deals were made, favors were exchanged, and power dynamics were ruthlessly enforced. Even more damning, reports suggested that many attendees weren't there by choice. Some were allegedly coerced, manipulated, and trapped, kept compliant through a toxic mix of drugs, intimidation, and blackmail. And behind every wild party story, there lurked an even darker machine, one that authorities are now scrambling to expose. As federal investigations into Diddy ramped up, what started as rumors began crystallizing into horrifying allegations. Accusations of trafficking, coercion, forced IVF treatments, and worse began to swirl. According to early reports, Diddy wasn't acting alone. He had a network. Insiders, enablers, fixers, many of whom were powerful figures themselves, and Kim Kardashian's name kept surfacing. While no formal charges have been filed against Kim, her proximity to Diddy, her participation in his events, and her suspicious financial connections through California Community Church have made her a person of intense public scrutiny. Her move to unfollow Diddy on social media, mere hours before a major raid on his properties, didn't look like coincidence.
Judgment is here, y'all. 24 hours before the raid, Kim Kardashian decides to unfollow Diddy, right? Well, come to find out, this person by the name of Lou Taylor is apparently Diddy's manager. And this Lou Taylor woman is also on the board of Hillsong's church home. Follow me, go with me. They is doing all of this, child, in the name of the Lord. Just follow the story. Now, to cover myself, everything in this video is alleged, honey. This is what I digged up, and I don't know how much truth is to it, but there's reportings, okay? So everything that I'm saying is allegedly. Keep that in mind. So, Lou Taylor apparently is paying off, allegedly, some of Diddy's victims from this slush fund through some church fund, okay? Not only that, Kim Kardashian mama has been making these girls pay 10% tithes to some church that Lou Taylor and her husband is basically owner, co-owner, or whatever. So I was like, let me look into this Lou Taylor person. I'm thinking Lou Taylor was a guy who was a woman with a husband, a whole husband, and they doing ministry and everything. Now, mind you, y'all remember the whole thing with Britney Spears? So come to find out, Lou Taylor, this gets deep, y'all, hold on. Okay, so Lou Taylor is the CEO of TriStar Sports and Entertainment. She's like a business manager icon. Now, Mike, do y'all know the Lohans? What's the Lindsay Lohan? So she apparently, allegedly, she has been behind most of these stars' conservatorship situations, especially Britney Spears. So before we talk about Britney, Mike Lohan, which is the Lohan girl, Lindsay Lohan's daddy, accused Lou Taylor and the mama Dina Lohan for trying to put Lindsay Lohan in a conservatorship concerning her money. Also, allegedly, there's a lawsuit from 2021 with Astroworld tragedy, and she's being sued for employment discrimination. This is what this Lou lady is. Now, Lou Associates maintain intense control also over Britney Spears' life and money. And she was behind even the conservatorship of why Britney Spears had that conservatorship, because she ended up becoming the business manager and took over the financial pieces of Britney Spears' whole situationship.
It looked like preemptive damage control, a desperate attempt to distance herself before the house of cards came crashing down. Insiders whisper that it's only a matter of time. Prosecutors are allegedly gathering evidence quietly, methodically. They know that taking down someone as connected as Diddy, and possibly his allies, requires airtight proof. But if and when the dominoes start falling, Kim's name could be dragged down right alongside his. And through it all, one voice kept warning us, begging us to see the truth, even when everyone called him crazy. Kanye's final warnings weren't just about himself. They were about a system, about how the rich and powerful exploit the vulnerable, even within their own families. He accused the Kardashians of strategically having black children to bolster their image and their influence. He warned that North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm were being positioned as pawns in a game much bigger than anyone realized. His tweets were messy, emotional, sometimes hard to follow, but the core message was chillingly consistent. In one post he claimed, "The grandmother signed for the tape. I am 100% convinced that my children are in a ring." At first, people dismissed it as another rant. But as more stories surfaced about the dark networks operating in Hollywood, Kanye's words began to sound less insane and more prophetic. He wasn't the first celebrity to cry out about being trapped. Michael Jackson spoke about it. Britney Spears lived it. Even lesser-known stars have hinted at the system that rewards compliance and destroys rebellion. Kanye refused to comply, and he paid the price. Character assassination, public humiliation, and near total isolation. But now, with so much evidence rising to the surface, the world is finally starting to ask, was Kanye West the madman? Or was he the only one brave enough to tell the truth? Behind the designer clothes, the billion-dollar brands, and the glamorous red carpet smiles, lies a rot so deep it threatens to topple the entire empire. Kanye West didn't just lose his marriage or his reputation, he lost the illusion that the world around him was ever real. The Kardashian dynasty, once seen as untouchable, now looks vulnerable, exposed. Their ties to Diddy, their shady financial dealings, their silence in the face of scandal, all of it paints a picture of a machine built not on authenticity, but on exploitation. Maybe Kanye wasn't crazy. Maybe he was just the first one who dared to scream while everyone else stayed silent. And if that's true, then what else is hiding in the shadows of Hollywood's most glamorous facades? Stay tuned, because the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the celebrity tea.